Exciting news! Math 10 students, this is our very last lesson of this year before we start into review. And we are in our financial math book, section 4. And we have learned so much this year. So way to go, guys. This is our last new learning. All right, let's get right to it. We're gonna go through a couple definitions, go through a few examples, and I'll assign you a few questions. So let's start off with net pay. All right, so we learned about gross pay already, right? That's just how much you make per hour, multiplied by the hours, you got it. Net pay, okay, is the amount you receive on a paycheck after all of your deductions have been taken off. Not as good as your gross pay, but that is a-okay. The other term that's used for this one a lot is called take-home pay, because it's the pay you take home. It's the pay you actually get. It's the money you've got to spend, okay? So that's your net pay. Deductions, okay, is the amount of money that is taken off of your gross pay before you get to what you get to keep, okay? Some things, there's a lot of things, but some of the things that come off of a paycheck typically are income tax. There's a federal income tax and a provincial one. There's the Canada Pension Plan. There's employment insurance. There can be union dues if you're in a union. There could be health or dental. Some organizations, they have charities set up, so your charity money goes at that time as well. Some people do automatic withdrawal, kind of like even to their RRSPs before they get their paycheck. So there's lots of things, lots of deductions that you get. Okay, so those are two important terms to be familiar with. Let's go right ahead and look at our questions here. We're on page 44. I'm going to read you about a friend named Emmett. It says, Emmett worked 76 hours at $10 an hour. He earned $760 gross pay for this pay period. Here's the pay stub he received with his check. So when you get paid, whether it's electronically or actually by check, even if it was, you should get a pay stub, okay? And it'll give you this information right on it. So you can know exactly where your money is going before you get it. So this one, it says, what is Emmett's gross pay? Now they just told us, and also you can look really quickly and see that it's $760. Okay, so his gross pay is $760. All right, number 2, it says, list the deductions taken from Emmett's pay. All right, if you look at his pay stub, you can see a section called deductions, and I'm gonna go ahead and write those out. Income tax that he had to pay, $180.80, okay. CPP, that was our Canada Pension Plan, was $37.62. And EI, employment insurance, okay, and that's going $13.50. All right, so those are the 3 listed. And 2B says, what was the amount of each deduction? Okay, we wrote that there, so that's fine. And C says, what's the total amount? So all we would do, we would add those up and we would get a total of, I did this already, $231.58. Okay, $231.58 is his total amount of deductions. Okay. Oh, that should be a 7, sorry about that. Okay, so that was number 2C. All right. Then if we look at number 3, it says, what is Emmett's net pay? All right. So 3A is net pay. And I've already told you, we're kind of going to answer 3B here. How was it determined? But we'll just kind of put A and B together. If we want to find our net pay, okay, we would take our gross pay, okay, which we learned about in our last section, and we would take away our deductions, okay, so subtract our deductions, and then we'll be left with our net pay, okay. One way you can think of if you get confused between gross pay and net pay, your net pay is the amount you have after you kind of take that gross pay, put it through a net of deductions. Maybe that'll help you. Okay, so net pay. So we knew the gross pay was $760. We knew our deductions were, what did I say? $231.57. So we would just subtract those, and we're left with $528.43. $528.43. Okay, so this is Emmett's net pay. That's what Emmett actually gets to spend help pay his bills, whatever it might be, okay? So that isn't good for Emmett. All right, let's look at number 4, because I already kind of talked about how that was determined. 4, it says, Emmett thinks that his pay should be higher. Very common thought, Emmett. So a lot of people, when they get their first job, and they know what their hourly wage is, and they're pretty excited, maybe it's like $15 an hour or something, you kind of do the math, and then you get your first paycheck, and you're like, kind of like Emmett here, you're like, what? I thought it was $760. He didn't know maybe about some of these deductions. So unfortunately, Emmett, this is accurate. This is what your pay should be. And it is a little shocking at first. Okay, so B says, will Emmett ever be able to afford the snowmobile he wants? Explain your answer. If we look on the other page over here, here's Emmett looking at the snowmobile. And he says, I work 76 hours at $10 an hour, so my check should be $760. I'll never be able to afford the snowmobile. I'm going to talk to my boss. Well, good luck, Emmett, but there's a lot of variables we don't know about Emmett's life. For example, does Emmett live at home with his parents? Is he a student? Well, it could be hard to work that much if you're a student. Maybe it's the summer, I don't know. You know, what are his expenses? If he has a lot of expenses and this is what he's earning, and we're actually going to get down lower and find out that this is what he earns every 2 weeks, like, or actually twice a month, it's not a lot of money. So unless he has very low expenses, he is not getting this snowmobile anytime soon. Even if he has no expenses, it's going to be months and months before he can buy the snowmobile. So hang in there, Emmett. Or maybe he'll have a friend that would help support him. Who knows? Maybe a grandparent. Who knows? Okay, let's go to number 5. It says Emmett is paid semi-monthly. So that means 2 times a month, 24 pay periods per year, because we know there's 12 months in a year, 2 pay periods per month, so 24. How many paychecks has Emmett received since the beginning of the year, including this one? Now, if you go back and look at his pay stub, it actually has the date there. Pay period end date, 05/31. Okay, 05/31. So we would know 05 would be January, February, March, April, May, right? So that's May 31st is the period this ended. And what month? We know that May is the 5th month. Each month there are 2 pays, they just told us. So 5 times 2 is 10. This is his 10th paycheck that he's got this year, okay? 5B says, if each paycheck was the same as this one, so assuming that all of the deductions are the same, all of his gross pay is the same, his net pay will be the same, what is Emmett's net pay since the beginning of the year? So we knew that his net pay was right here, $528.43. We know he's had 10 paychecks. So we could quickly, we know we're multiplying by 10, we move that decimal 1 to the right. Here's his net pay so far this year, so $5,284. So he's worked for 5 months for that. That snowmobile was $6,500, and I'm guessing that didn't even include tax, which is going to put him well over $7,000. So he's not even close with no expenses yet. What if he even wants to buy lunch one day? So that's going to take some time, Emmett. All right, number 6 says, approximately what percentage or what percent of Emmett's pay was deducted from the gross? Round to the nearest percent. Okay, so we know the deductions were $231, $57, and we know his gross was $760. So we would divide that, multiply it by 100. Let me grab my calculator and do that quick. 231, 57 divided by 760. I get 0.30, 0.46 times 100. Okay, so roughly 30.47. They said round to the nearest, so 30%. So he's paying 30% in deductions, right? So the more money you make, actually, the more you kind of have in deductions. Your percentages of income tax go up for the different brackets of money. So he's in a fairly low bracket, actually. So this is a low percentage that he's paying, believe it or not. So there you have it. Those are the questions I'm going to go over, and I'm going to assign you guys. I want you to read over on page 46 and 47, and then when you get to page 48, okay, page 48, you're going to do numbers 1 through 5 there. Okay, and those answers are in the back, so please do check them. And if you have any questions at all, please do let me know. I'm happy to look at your work, do a Zoom call, whatever works for you. And that will wrap up our material that we'll have on our final assignment this year. Okay, happy mathing, and we'll talk soon.